What is cryptocurrency?
Cryptocurrency, crypto is from the word cryptography, which is the mathematics of maintaining secrets, if you will, and being able to pass messages from one person to the other, where the recipient can be certain that it came from the sender, and that no one else can have access to the content. And so by using that basic idea, you're able to transfer a message from one person to another in a secure setting. Now, currency is one kind of message. Obviously, it's think of it as a point system. And what we're doing is that we're ensuring that a particular identity, a person with a wallet, has some points in it, and they want to transfer those points to someone else. And the recipient needs to also be certain that the points are coming from whoever they're meant to be coming from, and that these points are tracked on a ledger so that we can know with confidence that when they have been transferred, they'll appear in the new person's wallet, and that's where they will be, and the person who sent them no longer has them. So that's what cryptocurrency basically is. It uses that blockchain infrastructure, like a stone of rye, to enable the transference of or the sending of a message, which in this case is the transference of points from one person to another. And in fact, what's happening is that you've got two ledgers, or two, let's call them private notebooks to some extent. One notebook has written in it to start with 10, and the recipient's notebook has 0. And what's happening is that all we're doing is changing that 10 to 9 and changing that 0 to 1. And that's what the change is taking place on a blockchain. So the blockchain records those ledgers so that we can maintain a record of the distribution of points. So that's about that. So if you think again of that island, and you wanted to change the collective memory of that transaction, how do you do that? Well, you've got to persuade everybody, in this case, who was at that event, that in fact that didn't happen, and that collectively they revised their memory of something that they had recorded in the past. Now that's pretty hard to do, and so in fact, and as these blocks build on top of each other and they're all connected with each other, it also becomes increasingly difficult and expensive to try to do because of the way that they reference their previous block. So diving back into a block in some point of history to try and change that, you've actually got a whole future that depended on that block that also will be affected. So it becomes very, very hard. So if you think of these things as really just point systems, people use point systems all the time in their daily lives to measure things and to reward and to punish and to keep an account of stuff. So whether it's stickers on a wall chart or some digital information on a card or whatever it is, we pretty much use and create point systems all the time. And what blockchains now enable communities to do is to create unique point systems all the time. And in these point systems, you can write a bunch of rules about how that point system is going to operate. So you could say that there is a finite number of points that will exist forever, and and that's all. Or that we've created a point system where under certain rules and conditions, we can keep creating more points. And you can also then create environments where those points can be used for certain things, but not for other things. So these points can be embedded into systems that support certain kinds of activities and not others, that enable people to have confidence in what the exchange is, because the thing that you use these points to exchange for can only be exchanged for these particular points. So for instance, in say Beef Ledger, products that are tracked on a blockchain so that you can see what their history is, just information about that stake, for example. If we created an exchange program that people use, just like an e-commerce store really, but the seller of that stake says, I will only sell this stake for beef tokens, for example. Then the person who owns those beef tokens can have confidence that there's something about that stake that only beef tokens can buy. So it can function almost as a means of authenticating whatever it is that you're buying. And communities can create these point systems themselves. They're tracked on ledgers that are essentially managed on a blockchain. So they're things that you don't have to worry about because you've got your wallets and the blockchain's actually maintaining that information database. And then you can start to think about what it is about these point systems that can be designed and mobilized to shape behaviors, to indicate things that are of value to groups of people, to encourage certain kinds of activities, and to discourage certain kinds of activities if that's what people want. So that's some of the ways in which we approach the use of these cryptocurrencies, or essentially a form of digitalized point system.